everyone. I'm Diane, and I'm an alcoholic. And I don't think I've ever spoke for 10 minutes, but I'm going to do it today. I very quickly, at the age of 14, that was when I picked up my first drink. And when I picked up that drink, I thought that I had arrived. And they talk about an invisible line. That very first drink, I hopped right across. And my entire life until the time I came into this fellowship was a lot of havoc, a lot of insanity. But by the time I got here, I can share with you that I lost everything. I lost my self-respect. I had a low self-esteem. I had a lot of anguish and despair, and all because of that very first drink. What happened for me is it just got worse and worse and worse, but I wouldn't give it up. And you know, it was always something that one of you were doing to me that caused me my problems. However, one Thursday night, I'll tell you this story how I finally threw in a towel. One Thursday night, a friend of mine came over with a bottle of tequila. Now that bottle of tequila had a worm in the bottom. Now, if you know me, I hate bugs, okay? So I turned him down. I said, no, thank you. Turned my nose up and, you know, he, with a little coaxing, very little coaxing, a little salt in one hand and a shot glass, I downed the salt and the shot glass, and that was a Thursday night, and I came out of a blackout on Saturday. Okay, and yes, the worm was gone. Now, I will never forget that moment. That moment when I realized that there was something wrong with me. And I remember walking into the bathroom, and I hear so many of you AAers talk about that mirror. You know, and I looked in the mirror and I saw somebody that I didn't know. And I'm not going to tell you that I didn't have that impulse to take out a razor blade and slit my wrist, because I really believed that I didn't deserve to live anymore. And I call it my very first spiritual awakening, because I came out of that bathroom and I picked up a telephone book and I looked up the word alcoholic, and I found you guys. I made a call to that hotline number, and I began to tell this woman what my life was like and how I was feeling. She said that she would pick me up for a meeting at 7:30, almost like this size meeting. Now, I was so ashamed of what I'd become, I could not look at you. I shuffled along, and I tried to shock this woman on the way in the car. You know, I started telling her all these awful things that I had done, and she would just smile and say, you know, tell me something about her. And I thought, this is great. And then I walked into a room like this, and just like when I arrived tonight, there were several of you with your hand out, welcoming me. Let me explain something to you too. I was not welcomed anywhere anymore. But you guys welcomed me into this fellowship. And you gave me some guidance, which I've held on to from that very first day. I was told to get a group, to get a sponsor, to work the steps into my life, to make AA the most important thing in my life. And I went from being hopeless to having some hope, because one of the things she told me was one of those promises. She said, Diane, if you follow the path that I'm going to lay out for you, you never have to drink again. That was March 14th, 1981. And I have not had the urge to pick up a drink. I've had a daily reprieve from the day I walked into these rooms till today. It is a God-given program, and my family is still thanking you for straightening me out. And all I can share with you is that if you're new, and I think I heard a couple of new people out there, if you're new, just keep coming back. This is a one day at a time program. And stay and let this miracle happen for you. Thank you.
You did it. All right. Chris, could you come up and read the traditions, please? As soon as I find them. Thank you.
Chris Kush, I'm an alcoholic. 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. 2, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. 3, the only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4, each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. 6, an AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues. Hence, the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. 12, anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all of our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities.
Sean, would you come up and do the chips, please? Hey. Oh-wee.
Thank you, sir. I'm Sean. I'm an alcoholic. And this group has a tradition on handing out chips for various lengths of sobriety, so if you got the time, come up and get it. Excuse me while I fix my bow tie. First chip we offer is a 24-hour chip. Anybody got 24 hours? All right. And that is Rebecca, everybody. Next chip we hand out is a red chip for 1 month. Gold chip for 2 months. Oh, you got, what do you got, 1 month? All right, there we go. You got a 1 monther. And that is Sarah, everybody. And we got a gold chip for 2 months. Come on, I'm on a roll. Come on, I know there's a 2-monther out there. Then we got a green chip for 3 months. And we have a blue chip for 6, and a purple chip for 9, and then we have a poker chip for 1 year. There we go. And that's Billy with 1 year. And then we flip that red chip over for multiples. Anybody with multiple? There we go. Woo! We got Corin with 11, Joelle with 4, and Brenda with 9. All right, guys.
Thank you, Sean. Okay, we'd like to bring up our main speaker, Hugh.
Okay. How y'all doing? My name's Hugh. I'm an alcoholic. I'm grateful to be sober and absolutely thrilled to have been asked to come all the way up here to the big town of Newport Richey. My sobriety date is August the 11th, 1998. I belong to the after-work bunch down in the big town of Safety Harbor. If you're ever down that way, come on down. We're there every day at 5:30, 6:30 on Sunday. And I've got a sponsor who, whenever I'm feeling like I'm on top of the world and I got this thing and life is just good, I give him a call. He fixes that for me. I am really, really grateful to be sober, and I had no idea that it was going to be this many people here. And then old boy was out there in the parking lot before I came in. He was telling me about all the great speakers they've had here in the past. I kept saying, oh man, ain't gonna be that kind of party. Well, all I can do is tell you my sad tale and then tell you about the good part. When I came in here, there was absolutely nothing funny. Nothing was funny. Thank God, since I've been in here, I kind of cater to that Rule 62 y'all got around here, you know. Don't take yourself too seriously, and that on page 132 it says, we are not a glum lot. And I try and stick to that as much as I can. And so I'm going to tell you a story. You know, this old boy died suddenly. Just died, just like that. And he found himself up in heaven, and he was met by St. Peter. St. Peter meets him, and he tells him, son, welcome to heaven. He says, let me show you around. So he took him down this big hallway, and it had doors, you know, all down this big hallway. So he says, just go ahead and open up one of them doors. So he opened up the first door, and oh my goodness, there was incense going, there were candles, they were singing Gregorian chants, you know, Agnus Dei and that kind of stuff. And they had gold vestments on. And he said, well, what's going on in there? He says, oh, those are the Catholics. So he says, okay. So he went down, opened up another door, and oh my God, they was in there. They was shouting, jumping up and down. They was passing out. There were snakes and everything, and there was a piano just a thumping. He says, what's going on there? He says, oh, those are the Baptists. So he went to another room, and it was real quiet. Everybody was sitting in their little pews, and they had their hands folded, and you could hardly hear the preacher talking. He said, what's that? He says, oh, those are the Presbyterians. So then he went down to another door and he opened it up, and there was the biggest mess you've ever seen. There was a great big coffee pot in the middle of the room. There was smoke down to here. There was people slapping each other on the back. They was laughing and just having a great time. He says, "What's going on there?" St. Peter looked at him. He says, "We don't know who they are. They won't tell us." Thank God for Alcoholics Anonymous. And this is an anonymous program. So I'm going to tell you kind of what was going on with me. I'm from the great state of North Carolina, born and raised there, and I was an only child to loving parents. My parents were college-educated folks. Had good jobs. My father was an art teacher, and my mother worked at a college. And I grew up with a lot of love. The only thing happened about 7 years old. They separated, and that was my first kind of "it ain't right" moment. This ain't fair moment. You know how we get to blame and stuff. So that would be my first. And but other than that, I had they were loving parents. I had loving grandparents. I had the best of both worlds. I hope I didn't step on anybody's toes with that joke, because I was brought up into the Southern Baptist faith for a while, and then an amazing thing happened. When my parents did separate, my mother was looking for something new and exciting and different, and so she converted to Catholicism, and so did I. So I got the privilege of growing up from the 3rd grade on in Catholic schools. I was taught by those nuns that had the wings on, the Daughters of Charity, the flying nuns. And, I got a great education. I liked school. I was one of them weird kids who liked school. I was a straight-A student, which made me an absolute genius, And, so I just went on like that. And then somewhere around 14 or 15, I must have picked up my first drink. And I thought, just like Diane said, it was just a line that you cross over. And I thought, man, this is it. This is what I needed. Because, I was starting, about that time, I was starting to become a little disenchanted with the church and with things that were going on. It was the mid-'60s in the great state of North Carolina, and so there was a lot of stuff going on. Civil rights movement was going on, and, so I was kind of becoming a little disenchanted with the way things were going, and so this alcohol thing it was just perfect, because I didn't have to think about none of that stuff. I went on through the rest of high school, and I was one of them kids in high school. I was, I was first string varsity basketball. I was the president of the freshman and sophomore and junior class. Had the lead in the school play, and on the outside, everything looked good. I was that kid who everybody said, man, he's going somewhere. Well, they were right. They were right. I graduated high school and was, of course, the plan was go on to college, finish college, get married, get the 2 cars, get the house, get the garage and the white picket fence, and life was going to be good. Now I grew up in the 50s, and, I grew up with Donna Reed and Father Knows Best and, and Leave It to Beaver, and G. Wally, wouldn't it be swell if life could have been like that, But had some turns. They had no idea that I had this thing called alcoholism. I had a disease. And it had been triggered when I was just a baby. I didn't really think about this until a couple weeks ago. I was thinking around and I go, man, I got a bad deal. When I was born, I was 5 pounds 9 ounces and 21 inches long. Now back then in 1950, if you were 5 pounds 7 ounces, you got shot in the incubator. So I just missed it by 2 ounces. So they thought that it would be a good idea to kind of fatten me up, so they gave me beer. Like a tablespoon of beer every 2 or 3 hours, 1950 in North Carolina. Hello, Anyhow, so, that's why I'm standing in front of you today. The plan was to go on to college, and I did, and I was there a semester, and oh my goodness. I went to a little small school that had 3,500 students. There were 3,000 women, there were 500 men, and I have never had it like that before or since. And needless to say, with the way I was drinking, just out of control, I wound up with a 0.9 grade point average, and for some reason, they asked me not to come back. Which was okay. It was 1970, and there was a lot of stuff wrong with the world that needed me to fix it. So that was all right with me. I was going to set about fixing the world. But that little thing that they had promised, that boy's going somewhere. Well, I did. I was in prison within a year. Direct result of the way that I drank. Direct result. And so I found myself in there. Of course, now there was some outside issues that were going on too with that drinking. But I'm here to talk about what this alcohol thing did to me. And there I am in prison. I'm there, and now I became rehabilitated right away. I knew that I didn't need that, And so I came up for parole, and of course they politely turned me down right away on my first time. And I thought, well, now, listen, I am rehabilitated. I have seen the error of my ways. I don't really need this anymore. And so, listen, this is what I'm going to do. They were giving out home leaves, like I must have thought I was in the Army, and they finally gave me one home leave too many, and I just kept on walking, So I escaped from prison, and I started, that would be kind of the start of what I got real good at, those geographics. I hear y'all talking about that from time to time. And my geographics, I went from North Carolina to D.C., to New York, to Boston, to Maine, and then I decided, I woke up one morning with several trips back and forth across country, because I was a hippie. I had the big afro out to here, the bell bottoms and the peace sign belt buckle and the tie-dye t-shirt and, peace. And I used to hitchhike back and forth across country like it was, I could hitchhike faster than most people could drive it. And finally woke up one morning and I was trying to get away from this girl I was with because I wasn't real good with relationships. You know how we are with them, They tell me a real alcoholic is incapable of having a relationship. Anyhow, I woke up and I told this girl I was with, I said, I'm going to Alaska. And she said, well, I'm going too. And I said the only mature thing that I could think of at the time, I said, okay. So, off we go. Now, the only reason I'm really mentioning this is because when I got up there, that is when the progression of this disease took off like wildfire. I got up there, I was 23 years old. Now I'm on escape, so, I got to kind of watch my P's and Q's, but I got up there, and one of the first people I ran into was an old man who looked at me and he said, son, where are you from? I said, well, I kind of been all over. He says, uh-huh. And he looked at me and looked at the way I was dressed, and he said, son, let me tell you something. He said, freezing is just another word for not enough to wear. Put some clothes on. Okay. Took me down to the Army Navy store, got me some wool, and I was set up. So then he told me the clincher. He said, son, every night is New Year's Eve up here. He said the bars stay open till 7 o'clock in the morning, they close for an hour, and they open right back up. I said, hallelujah. So I had arrived. Now, up until that point, when I drank, I stood out like a sore thumb. The people I was around, they would say crazy stuff like, oh, I've had enough. I think I'll go in. What? We got money? We got liquor to drink here, son. I'm not going anywhere. And, but when I got up there, that wasn't the case. I was finally around people who wanted to drink like I knew how to drink and have fun and party all night long. And I was making more money than God intended for a fool like me to have. And I'll tell you, it's a terrible mix. And again, gee, Wally, if things had just stayed right there, I'd have been all right. But y'all know the progression just doesn't stop. It just doesn't stay. And what would happen would be, it would just slowly catch up with me. I would wind up acquiring a lot of things up there. I built a log cabin. I got one of the last homesteads up there in 1976. I had a couple of boats, I had it made, and I had things up there that people would give the right arm for. They'd say, oh man, but I didn't care nothing about that stuff. All I cared about was my next drink. Where I was going to get it. That's all I cared about. I didn't care about any relationships I was in. At some point they would wise up, and at some point they would give me that ultimatum. They would say, it's either that drinking or me. Really? Really? See ya. That's all I could do. And, things just went around and around like that. I was just like a dog chasing his tail, just going around and around that circle. And then it became every day it was the same old thing, And, at some point, just to speed this craziness up, at some point, North Carolina would finally catch up with me. I, would go back there. I finished out that sentence, went back up to Alaska, and I'm up there, and things are just getting worse and worse. By now, I'm starting to go into treatment centers now, and that was 1985, and I had actually come into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous for the first time, and I thought, my God, I feel so sorry for those people. Y'all had them gut-wrenching stories, and, I just thought to myself, my God, if I had it like that, I'd drink too, and so what I decided to do was become a treatment center junkie. I just kept going in and out of these treatment centers, trying to find out the answer. I'm trying to find out the answer. Anybody out there looking for the answer tonight? Why did we do the stuff that we did? Why did we do it? And I came up with all kinds of answers, like Diane was talking about, of course, first it was my parents, that was the answer. No, I went back out and drank, no, it must have been the Catholic Church. No, went back out and drank. Oh, well, it was probably the civil rights movement and growing up in segregated North. It was the white man's fault. That's what it is. That's why I drank the way I drank, No, that wasn't it. That wasn't it either. So, on and on like that, coming up with these excuses. And, finally came in here and y'all gave me the answer to that question. The reason I did the stuff that I did and acted the way that I acted was because I'm an alcoholic and I can't drink safely. Just that simple. I don't need to go no further than that. So I would finally figure out that, again, coming up with an answer, you know, I figured out that the problem was these foods up here in Alaska. I'm gonna get out of here. So I went back to North Carolina and got back down there, and within 6 months I was back in prison again. I was scratching my head and my ass at the same time trying to figure out how did this happen again, you know? And the end would come now. Now, by now, it's about 10, 12 years past that first AA meeting when I decided that you guys were a bunch of idiots, because the first thing you told me when I came in here was, it's the first drink that gets you drunk. Really? Bunch of idiots. I'm sorry. If that's the best y'all got, then I don't want no part of it, you know? So for 13 years, I scrambled around, in and out, in and out. Now, I was around AA some of them times. I was around it, you know, but I sure wasn't in it. And the end would come, and it was just by the grace of God. The end would come on a hot August day in 1998. By now, I've been 3 prison terms. I've been to about 7 or 8 treatment centers, TCs, you know, some of them, and a couple of trips to the nut house, you know, because by now I felt like Diane, my life wasn't worth living, and so I made some half-hearted attempts at suicide, and I couldn't even do that right. And then I wound up in a brownout in New York City, a place where I swore I would never go back again. I wound up there, and I'm sleeping around in Central Park. I'm hanging out around Grand Central Station and Penn Station. I'm that guy shaking the cup, you know, begging for a quarter or whatever, you know. Well, wanted $1, but y'all would throw a quarter in there, and I'd get a resentment. And you know, now. I got the afro back again, but it's like all over the place. I'm in the same clothes for about a month and a half straight. I looked bad, I smelled bad, and I felt worse than I smelled and looked. I used to be able to get on the subway up there at rush hour. I could get on the A train at rush hour and get my own car. That's how things work, you know. Y'all people from down south don't know nothing about that. Y'all don't know nothing about no subway. Anyhow, you know, it was a mess. I was homeless. I was hopeless, full of despair. And all I wanted to do was wake up dead. I could not stand that anymore. Because basically I was walking around just a shell, just walking around, you know, eyes, absolutely no light in my eyes, you know, and feeling the worst. And, you know, now, everybody doesn't get to that spot, you know, they don't, you know, you don't have to get that low, you don't have to lose anything, really, to become a member of this program. But I believe that all of us have something in common, and I believe that the 2 things that we kind of all have in common, no matter what our stories are, is that, one, you wake up and the alcohol's not working anymore. It's not doing its job. It's not taking away the fear. It's not taking away the anxiety. It's not making you able to leap tall buildings at a single bound anymore. It's just awful. But you gotta drink. You can't not drink. I hear y'all say that. I couldn't not drink. And the other thing that I believe is pretty universal around here is that you wake up, and this is about the darkest spot for one of us to get to. You wake up and you say to yourself, I'm not gonna do this today. By God, I ain't gonna do it. And you mean it. You're serious. And you'll tell anybody that's around, I am serious this time. I have learned my lesson. I am not gonna put this stuff in me today. Y'all know what happens. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 6 hours. But y'all know what happens. You put it in, and that stuff y'all were talking about, it's the first one that gets you drunk. It's true. That's the first one. The first one that sends me on that trip that I didn't want to go on. It sends me to that spot where I just don't want to be, but I can't help it. So I wound up on a park bench up in Harlem on that hot August day, and I'm sitting next to a guy who was in just as bad a shape as I was, and I turned to him and I said, man, I can't do this no more. He looks at me and he said, sure you can. He says, man, you just need a rest. Light bulb. Yeah, I need a rest. So he said, man, just go down to the bodega, get a 50-cent beer, go knock on the door at this place around the corner. They'll let you in. They'll give you a nice bed to sleep in. You can get a change of clothes. You need it. They'll give you a bath, give you something to eat, and you'll be all right. I said, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I did it. They let me in, spent the night, feeling pretty good. Got up the next day, and they said, son, we believe you might need a detox. I went, a detox? Man, I've been to about 5 or 6 of them detoxes. But I thought, I'm still kind of tired. Detox. So I went and I stayed at a detox on Staten Island for 5 days. And at the end of the 5 days, the old boy came up to me and he said, well, son, looking at your record and your career with this disease, he says, I believe you need further treatment. I said, son, I could teach at one of them places I've been. I said, nah. He said, well, we got this Salvation Army place it would be. I said, oh, wait a minute. I said, oh, no, I'm not going to one of them places where they're going to beat you over the head with the Bible. And I said, oh, no. He says, well, I got this other place called Graymore. Now, somebody on the street out there about a month and a half before this had told me about this place called Graymore. They said, man, it's way up in the middle of nowhere, upstate New York. They got horseback riding, they got golf courses, tennis courts, and a swimming pool. He said, and when you leave, they give you an Oscar de la Renta suit. Really? So I said, Oscar de la Renta suit, I'll sell that, my welfare check will be in there, and I'll get my food stamps. I got this. So I did not come in here to get sober. So if anybody is sitting out there and you're not really sure about, what your motives are, you might be in here for your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever, the court might have sent you. It don't matter why you're sitting here. This thing can get you about 150,000 different ways. All you got to do is come and sit down and take it easy. And that's what happened to me. By the grace of God, God stepped in and started this journey for me. I was up there in this place, and the old boy told me it was run by the Franciscan Brothers and Sisters of the Atonement, which Catholics, 35-year resentment against them, And, but I couldn't back out because I said, yeah, Graymore, man. So I'm up there, and the miracle happened for me. And the miracle was there was a lady up there who brought a meeting in every week. Step 1, step 2, step 3. I can't, he can, I think I'll let him. And that's all she ever talked about. But this one day, I was there about 4 days, and she was telling her story, and she said, it took me 11 years to get 1 year sober in this program. And for some reason, I looked up at that time, and it looked like, how the hippies used to say she had an aura around her. I could see something around her, and I believed that woman. Then she said something really cool. She said, in order to get this thing, you gotta really, 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 really want it. And that was the moment that by the grace of God, I became teachable. I had this much hope. I believed, that woman believed, and I believed that I might be able to get this. I stayed up there 4 months. They let me out, sent me down to Flat, Long Island, and I went into a sober house down there, and they told me when I got out to go to Alcoholics Anonymous, raise my hand, and tell them I needed help. That's exactly what I did. I got a home group, I got a sponsor, and I started working the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I was no longer around AA. I got right in the middle of this. They told me the same thing that Diane talked to you about. They said, son, take a bath in this thing. You're dirty. Take a bath in it. Make it the most important thing in your life. And I was able to start doing that. You know, I have been given just so many blessings just for coming to that final surrender and just starting with a little bit of hope and believing that this thing would work. I believed, I looked around at y'all, and I believed it was working for you guys. You guys were smiling. You were laughing. You just look like now, the home group that I joined, the first meeting that I went to, my lovely wife was chairing that meeting. And she was a fine-looking woman. And she was chairing that meeting, and I looked up at her, and I said to myself, boy, I want what she has. And, you know, wasn't too long, I finally got up enough nerve to ask her out, and she said one of them ridiculous AA things. I know she got it from AA. I asked her out on a date, you know, maybe, you know, movies, maybe dinner. You know what she said? We could go to a meeting. What? So we did, and anyhow, one of the blessings of this program, one of the gifts I was given, I have a loving relationship with this woman today. After 5 years, we got married. I married into 4 kids, 4 beautiful kids. Had the pleasure of seeing 2 grandchildren born. Just a joy for a drunk like me to have that kind of blessing in his life, you know. It's just amazing. I am not willing to give that up because, you know, one of the other promises I was given when I came in, they told me I never had to feel like I felt the day before I came in here. Y'all know how you feel, you know. I haven't felt like that. I have had some of the ups and downs, some of the highs and lows since I've been sober. But I have never felt like that. Not like that. And I have been able to go through everything that's come down the path at me without taking a drink. Is that a miracle? I think so. You know, it's a miracle that we're here tonight on a Friday night. My God. What is it? It's almost 8 o'clock. I'm supposed to be so drunk I can't see. I'm supposed to be broke. And I'm supposed to be plotting against the state of Florida right now. Throwing bricks at the penitentiary right now, you know. But here I am in a room full of loving folks, you know, and we're all heading on that same journey, you know. Y'all gave me something that I couldn't have possibly gotten anywhere else because, you know, I didn't have any faith when I came in here. And that's probably why I couldn't get sober for 13 years. You know, I could not. I wanted y'all to tell me, please, tell me anything but that spiritual stuff. Tell me there's another way, you know. I'll do Chinese arithmetic if that's what it takes. but I can't go that spiritual route because I knew y'all were talking about the Catholic Church, you know, now. And I want to make this caveat that today, what I understand about all them people that I blamed and all those institutions I blamed, I have learned in here that my parents were doing the best that they could with what they had to offer at the time. All of those people were right where they were supposed to be at the time, and that none of my stuff was their fault. And that is amazing. That's an amazing spot. Y'all gave me that. But y'all, in order to get to there, what y'all gave me was that belief in a higher power. Of my understanding, I choose to call on my higher power daily. And that's all I need to tell you. I don't need to name it. I don't need to hear your name. I don't want to hear your name, you know. Just tell me you got one, and that's okay. And then, you know what the other thing? They said, you ain't got to believe in nothing. You know, it's going to help you, but you ain't got to believe. That set me free. You guys gave me a belief in that higher power that I trust in, because if I said that in the second step that I came to believe, then in that third step, I need to trust that power. And in 6 and 7, I need to trust in that power. I need to trust that that power is doing for me what I could not do for myself all those years. Why else could I be standing up here with a suit on at a podium and not saying anything but, not guilty, Your Honor? By the grace of God, I stand before you, a sober man with a shot at growing up. Today, I can be the man that my mama and my grandmama, God rest their souls, always knew that I could be. I've got that shot. I've got an opportunity to grow up today. I've got an opportunity to be a husband, to be a father, to be a grandfather, to be a friend, to be a sponsee, to be a sponsor in this program. And I've got an opportunity to pass on to somebody else what was so freely given to me. I want to congratulate all the celebrants tonight, and I want to especially congratulate that young lady who's her first night. You are the most important person here, and honey, just keep coming back here. Get with some of these ladies and let them walk you through this thing. I guarantee you that your life will change. I guarantee you that whatever is the reason that you think you came in here for, it never has to be that way again, because these people are going to take care of you. And I want to thank everybody for helping me to stay sober for one more night. And I am truly, truly grateful. And if y'all are ever down my way, come on down and see us. Thank you.